Hi Leo, I have a reading for you, so we're going to get started. We're going to look at a few different key areas. I did a little meditation prior, which I always do, and I was seeing some pretty positive and interesting things. So I was seeing basically bounty or harvest, apples and pears and fruits and vegetables. And for me, that is a symbol that the work you've been putting in may have been slow to come forward, but the harvest is coming. The other thing I was being shown was a bow and arrow. So no idea about that yet, but we will see. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Dawn. Thank you for being here. I really enjoy doing this, and I try to not only give you messages that are given to me, but I try to weave a story that can help you as well. So first we're looking at the core of the problem. I don't know where all that came from, but like I said, I try to give what is given. Okay, so Leo, let's look at the core of the problem and then we'll get a few others. Curiosity on the bottom, very interesting. I am going to use mostly tarot, but I do like to get some overall energies. Memory, interesting. So memory here, and one of the things I find interesting is it's number 29, which reduced is 11. And as I was starting this video, essentially I was being asked to start it at 1:11. So I sat and I waited, and that's when those messages came in about the harvest, the bounty, and the bow and arrow. And now 11 is coming up here with memory. What's interesting about this card is there's this trash can over here, and it's like there is a new persona coming forth out of this old persona. And it's interesting with that trash can there. It almost feels a little bit like the Eight of Cups. It's like the issue right now is that what I'm seeing and hearing is you're having some kind of spiritual growth, spiritual growing pains, and it's actually possibly taking you out of people, places, events, jobs, careers, families. I mean, it's like you are growing and everything else is kind of remaining the same. Interesting. Okay, let's look into that a little bit more. We'll get some tarot on it. This is actually for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. So if you find that maybe this isn't your message, you could always check your other signs. And of course, if I'm not your reader, that's okay as well. The Wheel of Fortune on the bottom. So the Four of Cups, yeah. It's basically all the things I was feeling. See how this, what's really interesting there is there's the three cups on the bottom and the other cup that's coming forward in this deck. It also reminds me of the Ace of Cups. I'm getting a feeling almost that, first of all, this change is in your favor. This change is good for you. But when you change, you can feel at odds with all the things that you have created already, right? Yeah, the Ten of Swords. So the Ten of Swords is a really challenging card. However, after the Ten of Swords, what is next, right? After, it's almost like, oh, the Two of Wands. You know, the thing about the Crow is they're not only brilliant, but they actually, the Crow's memory is almost unlike any other birds. And one of the interesting things about them is they immediately sense whether people are good or not so good. And I don't know if that means in a huge general sense or just as far as toward birds and animals, but that crow will tell all the other crows, and there will start to be this community feeling, this community consensus I'm hearing. And there's something about possibly things that have been said here. But what's interesting with this Four of Cups in particular, it's like this new opportunity is going to come in or is there, but like you have to move your focus onto what is being offered. And I'm seeing it's being offered from spirit. It's being offered from goodness. And move away from whatever this is. Let's get one more on that. This is really interesting, Leo. Wow, okay. So the Eight of Swords. Whatever this is has you really caught up in your mind. So essentially my advice to you with this is it's whatever pops into your mind first. That is what this is referring to. For some of you, I'm getting a feeling that this was something learned in childhood, and it's like maybe you took on repeated some habits or some patterns, and because of the work you've done, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, you're actually leaving a lot of that behind, but it's like, what do I do with that which I have created in my old patterning? Yes. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, Leo. Let's go next. Hidden aspects here. Oh, it's interesting that we're staying with this deck. That's very interesting. Did not see that coming. And that's what I'm hearing. Did not see that coming. Balance, which is a 4, and resistance, which is a 40. So you have basically 2 4s here, doubles. And then over here, it was really important with that 11. So just know, luck on the bottom. Just know that, I am getting that you're going to have some kind of, I'm hearing kismet or some kind of synchronicity that's going to help you to understand this better. But also know that when you get doubles of something, that is a confirmation in a positive direction, or that is a confirmation to trust your instincts that you are correct, because this is under the hidden aspects or what you don't see or what has not come to the surface yet. Let's look at this balance. The balance to me feels like a balancing of your boundaries. You know, if you learned to overgive as a child, it's very hard, or to have watery boundaries as a child, it's very hard to relearn that as an adult, but it's almost what I'm seeing here a bit. With this balance card, it could mean anything that you overdo. I'm not seeing underdo, I'm seeing over. It's like you're being held in the place you are now on a pause to create this balance. If you're moving into a new stage of your life one way or another, I'm not clear if this is career or love or family, it's some kind of spiritual unfoldment that makes you feel kind of on the outside of. But you know it's not in a negative way, but it's uncomfortable. The resistance you're experiencing is to sit in your new energy a little bit, to balance that. Wow, the King of Pentacles and the King of Wands. And the Ace of Pentacles on the bottom. The Ace of Pentacles to me is like a spirit, and 11:01 on the clock right now. It is a spiritual rebirth. And you're balancing this. King of Wands sometimes comes up to me as a sexual card, but you know, sexual energy and Kundalini energy, pranic energy, that's all creative energy. And so it's like you're rebalancing your prana toward this new outlook on life, toward this new dharmic path. A dharmic path is essentially 11:44 on the clock. Remember, we had 11:44 here. Your dharmic path is essentially what you are here to unfold, what no one else can do precisely like you can do. And this really shows a realigning toward that. Oof, that was, I'm putting the Ace of Pentacles out here because that's really important, and the High Priestess under it. So one thing to remember about the High Priestess is she practices mauna, or silence. And especially with your outgoing nature, it's going to be hard to not talk about this. But it's something that, with this balance, there's like a tempering of that fire, of that energy. It doesn't mean you can't stay sexy. You can definitely stay sexy is what I'm hearing. Okay, what can be learned? Let's go over, let's go over here. There's a lot of energy. I'm like, I don't know. It's probably the way you feel, which is not the way that I feel. So this is a very interesting feeling. There's a lot of energy, and I can see why it would be good to temper it into this new creative project, whatever that may be. Okay, flow and delight. What can be learned? Oh, flow and delight through solitude is what I'm hearing. You know, part of this pulling yourself back for a moment to recenter, that's the arrow. Oh, this is, okay. I love at this part of the reading when it comes together, so thank you for hanging in with me. I was being shown the arrow, the bow and arrow, a long bow particularly. And it was like this resistance is because of this new spiritual unfoldment, this spiritual gift. And the resistance is really from all of life is what I'm seeing in a way. But when do you put the biggest resistance on the bow and arrow? It's at the point that you pull all the way back. So that is at the point right before the kind of like the Eight of Wands, the movement forward. Also, 2023, this year that just started with all the planets going direct at this moment of time, is the year of the Chariot, forward movement. Leo, it looks like because you're creating this forward movement with this new dynamic, spiritual, dharmic path that is unfolding, that doesn't mean you're going to have a spiritual business. It just means that you found the thing. Like you get in the current, you go with the flow. 14:44 on the clock. 1s and 4s are so important for you. And that it should feel easeful. It doesn't mean it won't take hard work, but there will be this feeling of delight. Like you wake up and you want to do this, whether this is a business, a hobby, a person, whatever it is, it should feel like you're going with the current. Let's get one more on that. What can be learned? I'm just hearing some things are made for you and just you. That's beautiful. Lovely, just the confirmation there, the Chariot, the year of the Chariot. What I'm getting here, especially with this 9 of Coins, part of the learning process here is going to be from pushing things to work. to allowing things to work. And if they don't, then it's not for you. The determination that you have is a beautiful quality. But there's something about tempering this fire a little bit to see the Page of Cups is here. It's like you're going to learn that things should feel good for you too, in your heart. And it looks like it's coming in really fast this year, which is beautiful. Okay, let's move on. Where can we find support? Where can Leo find support? I don't know that you need that much, but there's always support to be had. I guess everybody needs support, right? And I'm hearing to get a chakra card as well, so that's quite interesting. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, Leo. There is something about letting go here. It's like with this Four of Cups, it's almost like your eyes are back at this community, something, project, I'm not sure, something you are really outgrowing, and that growth moves you in the right direction of your path. But you have to let go of that old, I'm hearing mindset, but it could be a mindset, but it could also just be a community, just for example. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so real quickly, this is the story I'm being shown. It's my own story, so I'm gonna share it, so it might be significant for you. But I once had a student, I had a yoga studio open about 15 years, and I once had a student come in a long time ago. She is just lovely, and she did some acrobatics earlier in life, and she was still, she was probably in her mid to late 40s at that time, but every yoga, and she did this much younger in her life, but you still retain a lot of those talents. And when she came into class and I kept kind of pushing her, can you do this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And she was into it and just doing it all. And then after class, she said, everywhere I go, they think I'm showing off, or they tell me not to do that, or I'm going to hurt myself, or whatever else. And it's like, that's because she outgrew those places. That was not the correct places for her. So there's something here about you have outgrown something and it's limiting you in a big way. And you have to move forward from that. Okay, let's move on. Advice for, we're supposed to get a chakra card. Thank you, Spirit. I was reminded of that with a little pain to my side. That happens when I don't pay attention. So funny. I'm probably only telling you that because maybe you get signs and symbols similarly to me. The throat chakra. Yeah, you have to communicate, and whatever this is, you at least have to be honest about it to yourself and move forward. And it's okay. If people really love you and care about you, they are going to want you to succeed and to be happy, okay? So finally, let's look at some final advice. Any advice? But it seems like if you're moving from this community, this support system, whatever this is, it's like you've outgrown it. There is something that is waiting. But, you might have to take the leap of faith and let go of this before the next thing comes in, right? This came up at the bottom. I don't even know why I shuffled. Feels like the Four Swords, solitude. Okay, Spirit is asking you to move on from what you've outgrown. Be honest about it, at least to yourself. And then it feels like the High Priestess. Go inward a little bit. You're rebuilding a new sense of self. Any final advice, Spirit? This is so beautiful, Leo. Thank you for being with me. The Queen of Wands wants to come out. Wow. Wow. Okay. The final advice. Listen to this. There are multiple options that are awaiting you right on the other side of strengthening up these boundaries, that you deserve an equal give and take. That means you've outgrown something and you have to move toward that which is for you. It seems like a really big burden to let go of what you have outgrown, but it's going to be easier than you believe. It's a matter of first speaking it to yourself and realizing your truth. Okay, Leo, this was really beautiful. I hope it was helpful, and I would love it if you stuck around and subscribed or liked this video.